Hey folks, nice to see you again. It's been a while since I've actually made a video, and what I thought I would do instead of, doing the fishing stuff is do a tutorial on some of the jigs that I've been making over the summer. One pattern that has gotten some attention in Facebook is my Brookie pattern. I've been asked by a few people if, how do I make it? So I thought I would do a tutorial presentation on how to actually make this particular jig. Uh, I hope it turns out. We'll see what happens with the camera angle and zooming and stuff like that. But let's get at it. So what I'm going to do now is just talk a little bit about some of the stuff we're going to need to make the brookie. Hang tight. Okay, so to make the brookie, what I am making mine on is a 3/4 ounce jig. These have uh, sockets on the jig head so I can put 3D eyes on it. I also make this in a 1 ounce. The base color for the jig is river shad reflection, and I have that inside my fluid bed, which I will be putting on as a first coat. After that, I'm going to be using blaze orange, and that typically goes right underneath on the chin, what I call the chin of the jig. It's going to be uh, pretty much in this area here, and I'm going to kind of dust the edges of the eyes. It gives it a real nice effect. After I put on the orange, then goes the top or the back of the jig. Um, I like to use the perch color. Uh, ProTech has it. Some other lure making shops can carry it as well. Or if you don't have perch, another option is to use goby or the roadkill. I actually started with the roadkill until I found perch, and I just fell in love with the perch effect on it. The perch has a bit of a more kind of bluish kind of glitter inside. It really gives it a nice effect. Then the final piece of the pattern is using black. Now, I get my black from a auto paint shop, and I buy by the pound. You can get the black from ProTech, but for this particular pattern, I I use what's called I don't know the name of it, a splatter technique, where you just gently tap on top of the jig with your brush, and it like drops little balls of paint on it, and it gives it a really nice effect. Now the brushes I use goat hair. Uh, you can pick these up at any kind of like dollar shop or Dollarama we have here in Canada. I use several different styles of it. I have a fine tip that I use for black. I have a kind of a medium to small size that I use for tapping on the throats and things like that. I even have a 1 inch that I use for painting the entire body, and I have various other brushes that I use. Not sure if you can see them all here. I have brushes from makeup containers, fan brushes I use, various art brushes. It really depends on the way that you like to paint your jigs. But what I find extremely important is not to overpaint, especially with these jigs that have these eye sockets on it in here. If you overpaint and put too much paint inside here, you're going to have a hard time putting your eyes on. Now this jig is made to fit a 7 mil. I often use a 6 mil. It gives it that, you know, different kind of effect on it. I have some, let me see here. This is what I call, this is the razor. I actually changed this one and I made it now called the Buck. I have different kind of tinsel on top. But you see here, that's a 7 mil eye. That's fitting in that one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this process. First, I got to turn on my fluid bed. Okay, so I think we are about ready to get going here. I forgot I had to open up some paint bottles and get things a little bit organized before starting. This is a little bit of an awkward situation. I'm kind of like leaning over the camera. I hope that I can make this tutorial without making a mess at the same time. There are some tools that you're going to need. Just a pair of pliers, something to hold the jig. I got hemostats. You're going to need a heat source. I have a heat gun that's just over here to the left. There's no need to see that. And what I put on my jigs while I'm painting is shrink tubing. I put that over top of the eye, and that prevents the eye from filling in with paint. So I'm going to turn on the heat gun. I have it on low. Typically I run it low, and I hope that the sound of the heat gun doesn't overpower my voice. I'll try to push the heat gun away from me. Maybe kind of put it in the camera view. No, it's not going to reach. So I start by connecting the jig on the bottom. I'm gonna, first I need to get my fluid bed going. Just 1 second. So in here I have the river shad reflection. Just gonna get this fluffing up nice. Don't want to overflow. Okay, that's good. These little stir sticks they work pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to get my jig heated up. I typically turn the jig over the heat gun 4 different times at 5 seconds each. And for 3/4 ounce, that's what I find to be a pretty good timing. So 3, 4, 5. Don't mind my counting. 3, 4, 5. I like to count as I go. 3, 4, 5. One more time. 3, 4, 5. So what I do now is I put the shrink tubing over top of the eye, and I reheat it again to close the shrink tubing for about 3 or 4 seconds, and then I just give it a little squeeze to lock it so no paint gets inside. So just give it another little quick swirl in the heat. Then it goes inside the fluid bed. Now for putting the orange on, I like to move the jig up on about a 45-degree angle, so I'm not dumping it all over the jig. So I'm just going to get some of this, oh, wrong brush. Let's move this back a bit. Get some of this orange. And it's just a gentle tap on top. And I'm going about just over the eye at the bottom of the jig. About halfway. No more than that. Now it's a kind of a long process, but you don't want to go too fast. You'll end up getting too much paint everywhere. It's just, you know, nice and gentle taps. Maybe just a bit more on top here. Okay. Then what I do is I just run that over top of the heat again, just to keep the jig warm as you are going through the steps. You know, you're taking time to do so. So the next color is the perch. So I move the paint out of the way. I like to use these wide mouth jars. They're pretty good for doing this kind of stuff. And I'm just dipping the brush, kind of turning the jig about 25 degrees to one side and 25 degrees to the other. So I'm catching a bit of the sides. I hope you can see that. I'll try to zoom it in when I edit. Okay, there's a bit at the top. Not too much. Now I want to reheat the top again. I want to get that top a little warm for when I put in the black. Now the black is a real it's kind of tedious process. I'm just dipping the tip of the brush and I'm getting real close and just gentle taps, and it kind of splatters on top and kind of explodes. The closer the better. Just keep turning the sides until you get enough, or to your liking. That's looking good now. One more in here. Okay, great. Now there's one more thing that I forgot to mention. And I have a small bottle that has black inside. And what I do is once I pull the shrink tubing out, sometimes what happens is the paint will kind of pull with the tubing as it comes out. And what I like to do is just give a gentle, you got to be so careful with this because it'll shoot out like a fire hose. And just put a gentle tap around where the paint pulled up on the eye. And that's it. And I'll just put that over top of the heat for a quick second just to get that gloss going. And there it is. Now I'll do one more. Hope you can see that good. Let me turn the screen of the camera on. You can see how glossy that is on top, and it's such a gorgeous pattern. I haven't used it fishing. Well, I have, in the spring, but my spring season was an absolute wash. The muddy waters and very, very difficult fishing. So I'm hoping this fall I'll have a better chance to demonstrate how successful I think this jig is going to be. So I like to get my paints ready first before I start. So we're just going to heat this up again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I should have some music during the pause, or maybe just stop counting. Probably boring you all. So let me just go through this process without talking and see if I can show better. Okay, so put that on there. Give a little pinch. Get my pliers. I said I wouldn't talk, but okay. Oh, keep hitting the camera. Sorry about that. I gotta find a better way to film. Like I said, it's awkward leaning over top of the camera. Just gotta make sure I get the edges here. Little peeps. Okay, we're done. Let's get a little, there we go. That's a beautiful, beautiful pattern. Okay, folks, I hope you enjoy that, and give it a go. You know, you can try different sizes, the 5/8, 1/2. I'm going to eventually get another mold and do some of the smaller sizes. so I can hopefully attract another audience. All right, folks, thanks for watching. Take care. I'll do another tutorial at a later time. Bye for now.